Making him nervous.
I just need Chris back. There he is.
Recording in progress.
All right, I'd like to call the Village of Cottage Grove Village Board of Trustees to order on Tuesday, January 17th. It is 6:30 p.m. We are holding this meeting as a hybrid meeting, meaning we are in the Village Hall here in Cottage Grove, but also people can pipe in through the Zoom link at the top of the agenda, or certainly feel free to call in at the audio call-in number also at the top of the agenda. With that, we have a quorum. The agenda was properly posted, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up, then we have public appearances. This is public's opportunity to speak. If you are from the public and wish to speak, we certainly encourage that. We just ask that you share your name, your address, and your municipality, and hold your comments to no more than 3 minutes in case we have a number of folks who would like to speak. So with that, I'll be quiet for a moment or two and allow anybody from the Zoom or in the room to speak if they so choose to. All right, then next we have discuss and consider our meeting minutes from our regular village board meeting held on January 3rd. Meetings minutes were in the packet. Any comments, questions, edits, or consideration for motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, David. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Heidi. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Next, then, we have new business, and this is the swearing-in ceremony for Officer Ace.
President Williams, if I may, just for a brief moment, Officer Ace, if you please step up to the center. So, just to introduce Officer Ace to the board, it's Casey Ace. He came to us, grew up in Stoughton, graduated from Stoughton High School. He attended UW Stevens Point. Obtained his degree, bachelor's degree there in conservation law with a minor in criminal justice. While he was attending UW Stevens Point, he went to the 720-hour academy and obtained his certifiability for being a law enforcement officer. He returned back down to this area and did some general construction and labor work, worked in customer service, and he enjoys hunting and fishing and likes the outdoors. He has his family here to include his mother, his brother, his aunt, girlfriend, her parent, her mother, and other friends and family. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Clerk Letta so that you can do the swearing in.
Get the right hands here. I, Casey Ace,
I, Casey Ace,
who has been appointed to the office of full-time police officer
who has been appointed to the office of full-time police officer
with the Village of Cottage Grove,
with the Village of Cottage Grove,
swear that I will enforce the state laws and ordinances of the village
swear that I will enforce the state laws and ordinances of the village
and support the Constitution of the United States
and support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Wisconsin,
and the state of Wisconsin.
and I agree to faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my abilities.
I agree to faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right.
I'm short.
Okay, I'll take some first. Special moment.
All right, everybody in? Nope, not quite. Couple more? Do one of them? Okay.
Hang on, sorry. I offered to take pictures. Okay.
All right.
Another couple more.
All right. Here we go again.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Now back to work.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, next then on the agenda, we'll move right to reports from village boards, commissions, and committees. First up, we have Public Works, Properties, and Sustainability. Heidi, we have a couple discussing considers on here, so I'll let you take it away.
All right, thanks, John. We met on Wednesday, January 4th. I don't know, I feel like I'm getting some feedback or something. So we met back on Wednesday, January 4th, and we didn't have any updates on the bike and pedestrian comprehensive plan or the solar panels. Both of those are still coming in the works. So we just briefly touched on that. And then we moved right into things that we have in front of us for consideration tonight. So the first item is consider parking on Melissa Lane. So Melissa Lane had no overnight parking in the winter months, I believe. But the road is wide enough to allow parking, and we would have it fall under regular alternate side parking as usual. That applies to all other streets. And it's actually kind of moving in that direction, reducing street widths, reduces speed for vehicles on roads. So this is kind of a direction we're moving in general to have the smaller width roadways. So this is to consider then allowing parking on Melissa Lane. They'd remove the signs, notify residents of these changes. I think that's kind of the plan.
Yep.
If we move ahead.
Yep, yeah, if it's approved, we'd essentially, once worked it into the crew schedule and weather allowed, send notices to those affected on basically the one kind of long block, and then go out and take the signs out and notify PD of the change, and just treat it as a normal village street with alternate side in the winter, but the ability to park on the alternate side.
It seems pretty straightforward. I'll make a motion to approve parking on Melissa Lane.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion?
I just have a quick question. Did somebody over there complain or raise this, or how did this come up?
A resident called and requested it just based on, just kind of wondering why. And I just said, honestly, it was before my time. I can't find any documentation. But I said, we'll bring it up to the committee, and ultimately, yep, first order of business will be to follow up with the resident here tonight or tomorrow, assuming it passes here. That, not really sure why, just a few feet narrower than what we typically built, and probably just a reaction way back when.
Thanks.
No concern from Public Works then?
I ran it by Brian, and
Okay.
nope, we measured it together, and he's fine. Yep.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and second then. Any other discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, then on to our next item, which is about Dane County Land and Water Resources. Us working, contracting with Dane County to handle our erosion control, stormwater management plan reviews and inspections for those. So in every construction project, development-wide project, there's an erosion control plan, how they'll be managing stormwater during construction, and something we've had our village engineer do in the past, but many communities have Dane County handle this. It can be there's some benefits, of course. Can be less expensive for Dane County to do it. They have economies of scale. They have all the specialists. This is a specific department that does this. It can also have more authority coming from Dane County versus from the village. And they have kind of a neutrality that maybe some of our neighbors might appreciate as well. So the committee recommended that we move forward with this plan. I don't know if JJ, Josh, Brian have anything to add, or if there's any questions.
You covered it pretty well, but yeah, any questions?
Yes, Josh, what does this do? What's this mean for you?
You know, we were providing some of those services just like your past engineer had been doing. I think it makes it easier for us to deal with most of the things that you probably want us focusing on when it comes to your specific projects, when it comes to development, when it comes to, you know, the bigger picture type stuff. This is more of just a management of construction. Economies of scale, I think it's, the reason I kind of brought it to the village's attention is I think, just like we were saying, it's probably benefits all the development that's happening here on a more affordable level. And then also the neutrality between this and other people around you, and the authority that Dane County brings. If somebody has an issue or complains, as JJ knows in the past, somebody complains, says, oh, we want to get the DNR involved or the county involved because they see something, well, the county would be the person that would be administering it already. So it's quite a bit easier that way. And a lot of communities in Dane County already use this. It's pretty common. I would say, 75%. A lot of the townships use it. It's something that most people do in Dane County.
I guess the only other thing I would say is Rick looked at the draft contract quite a while ago and had one really modest change. They haven't responded to me yet on whether that was okay with them. I don't anticipate any kind of an issue, but it was a pretty straightforward contract, easy to get out of.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. And like JJ said, if things don't work out, we're not in a long-term agreement with them. It's something like a 90-day termination clause. So we can always find alternatives if we decide it's not working. And also, they charge like an hourly fee, but that's something that would be passed on to developers. So really, it's not anything that the village is necessarily going to be paying for when it comes to construction plans reviewing.
I'll make the motion to approve partnering with Dane County for stormwater review and erosion control inspections.
Second.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, David. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then? Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, so then the last item that we have to talk about tonight is the 2023 equipment purchase. And I may turn it over to Brian at some point here, but I'll try to give the first go. We had planned for a few different pieces of equipment, and due to all the slowdowns and backlogs of working through vehicle orders from the past few years, the trucks and vehicles that we originally wanted are not available. So we had to change the plan a little bit. So there's a couple of factors that go into that. We didn't buy any vehicles last year, so then we moved down on the priority list for this year. Also, moving in the hybrid direction, bigger places, Madison, Dane County, they're all transitioning, and they're ordering much farther in advance and bigger orders, and they have priority over us. So looking to kind of change the plan to option 2 listed on the memo, the plow truck and 2 3/4-ton pickup trucks. And actually won't even be able to take ownership until mid-2024, which leads me to a plug for, as we continue in our financial discussions, if we want to move to hybrid, we're going to have to plan ahead farther so we can get on lists. So, Brian, did I miss anything?
No, you did a great job. Not really sure what else I can really add to that, but just more of a priority item that we may want to discuss as we move forward. I know we have our priority list, but this may be a topic we want to put some time towards and have a quick discussion on, at least moving forward.
The plow truck is going to be equipped with the brining right from the start, because we started that process this year, which reduces the amount of rock salt we need to get the snow off once it's fallen, so kind of
Yeah.
retreat and prevent it from binding to the surface.
Yep, correct. We're, all of our plow trucks now, as we move forward, will be equipped with, I don't know if you've seen the county with the green and yellow. That hasn't reached the point of federal guidelines yet, but that is going to a point of, that's supposed to inform the public that it is a municipal vehicle ahead to slow down. It's not just your general contractor with a strobe light on top, so we're going to that, the brine, and also every new vehicle we purchase from moving forward will have a radio in it, kind of moving to improve communication, so.
So I guess we're looking for, recommendation or approval of the committee recommended option 2.
I'll make a motion that we approve option 2 as indicated in the memo.
All right. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Chris. Any further discussion?
I do have a question. So 2023 equipment purchase, we have the funds this budget year. We don't take delivery of the plow truck until 24. So are we going to hold those funds in escrow, or are we going to?
That's Cameron.
Cameron question.
We do have a lot of flexibility with that. Typically, we'll see if we'll get an incentive to pay early, if it's worth it. If not, we would kind of essentially approve carry over the funds to the following year. So it wouldn't be like a 2024 budget item, but it would be a carryover of funds that were intended to purchase a piece of equipment. I envision seeing this a lot more.
Yeah.
And there will be further discussion. I started to loop in PD on this too, and other things that we're ordering or having delays like this. So this is the first step of this process.
Was this ARPA funds that we had earmarked for the plow truck?
None of this is coming from ARPA funds. Nope.
Okay. The 3/4 ton pickup trucks, we can take delivery of that this calendar year, correct?
We don't actually know.
Do we? Okay, so those specialty trucks, like they have special boxes on them, or are they just standard 3/4 ton pickups?
Your standard 3/4 ton pickups. I mean, we're getting about a $20,000 break on each truck. I mean, so we do have options, right? We could go to a lot and get it today, but we honestly, we don't even, the plan here is we do have a truck that will be traded in that wasn't anticipated to use as funds towards that truck, but we actually are going that route of having to use the funds. So at the end of 23-24 plow season, we're gonna have to sell that truck before we purchase the new plow truck in order to have the funds to actually buy it. These delays, and I mean, you can see on my memo too that it's roughly $240,000. The reason we can't take ownership or pay anything towards it right now is because the dealers don't even know the price.
Sure.
You're looking at probably about $10,000 roughly on a surcharge. So that is part of the issue on, the dealerships won't even take money to pay up front to actually help, because it doesn't help.
Sure. I guess on the larger trucks, I'm used to that.
Yep.
From the fire department perspective. I guess it was the 3/4 ton pickups.
Yep.
In my head, the way I saw this was, obviously there's three vehicles, so 3 separate transactions. But I guess the way in my head, and tell me if I'm wrong, the 3/4 ton pickup you could do this year, but you'd take delivery of the plow in 24.
Yeah, but they won't accept funds until they have the truck,
Yeah,
because they actually don't know when they're gonna get it.
Makes sense on the plow, but I was just, I guess, the
Yep.
3/4 ton. Do you want to purchase these all around the same time?
Ideally, in this fiscal year.
Okay.
That's always kind of the goal. I can't say for certain that that's gonna happen with the 3/4 tons. I know it won't happen with the plow.
Okay.
The plow is about 18 months out.
Yep. Beats a ladder truck. Ladder truck
Yeah.
is almost 3 years now, so.
Right.
Thank you.
Cameron, I was wondering if we have the option to capitalize these costs over 3 or 5 years as opposed to paying in one fiscal year?
So what we'll do is we'll actually take out debt to cover these, and we'll pay the debt back in either a 5 or 7 year installment. So I kind of over the days where we're cash financing any of our capital purchases, it doesn't benefit us to do that anymore.
All right, any other discussion? All right, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Next, then, anything else, Heidi? Sorry.
I guess I would just do a shout out for all of Marty, Public Works Foreman's years of service for our community. And he's very dedicated to our, all of our infrastructure and big shoes to fill. So we have vacant positions posted, kind of going through a reorg. And hopefully we'll get those filled soon. I'm not sure how much longer they're posted for.
We're gonna first review at the end of the month, but open till filled. So hopefully just a few more weeks.
Yeah, in the meantime, they have a good plan for rotating responsibilities, since we do have staff on call 24 hours a day in case something goes wrong, that they need to be here. So thank you to all the staff for filling in that void while we fill the positions. That's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Heidi. Next, then, we have Community Development Authority. Sarah?
Actually,
Dave?
Thing, so here, let me open up the agenda.
I'm happy to get it started while you.
No,
look up.
I just got it up. We're good.
Okay.
So we met Monday, January 9th. Brad from the distillery wasn't able to make it, but Aaron did play or showed us some concepts regarding the website and some of the videos they want to make, and we'll kind of cut it together and make a few different. In my head, they're commercials, but it's kind of videos for the website. So more to come there. So that was an interesting update. And then the next one, discuss and consider direction on the village banners. So that was where we spent most of our time discussing, and there's a memo in the packet talking about, I don't know if you've ever seen the banners kind of hanging on the light poles at various points throughout the village. They were seasonal banners that we've kind of put on display at various places. Unbeknownst to me, that was a third-party developer that put those up and kind of managed those, and over time, Public Works kind of took that over. So staff is looking for clear direction around the plan to install the new banners and then to leave them up year-round, only replacing when necessary. Staff recommends board approve the installation of the new banners in the proposed locations. JJ, anything you want to add about the developer or anything I might have missed?
Nope. I think you got it.
They are really nice banners. Kind of, I think the older one, the existing seasonal banners will be, if that are in decent condition, will be returned back to the developer.
I am very excited about the banners. I have been for a long time. I think that really creating this sense of community pride for our residents and visitors, and kind of really bring us together. We've been, you're part of Monona Grove School District, so we share that identity, but really being able to claim our identity as people get off the interstate or visit our parks or come through town. So I'm very excited about it. I don't want to cut off anyone's conversation, but I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the village banner proposal as laid out in the memo.
All right. Thanks, Heidi. Is there a second?
Second.
beat me to it.
JJ or Aaron, could you guys pull up what they look like on the screen, maybe? If that's readily available.
Way to put him on the spot.
How we're racing?
I think David had the second on that by just a smidge.
I'll give it to Brittany this time.
All right.
Oh, I'm not even in the Zoom, you're gonna have me.
As we continue.
Cue the Jeopardy music. They look really cool, I'll just tell you. Like, you can use your imagination.
We will. Any further discussion then? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. David, anything else from
Nope.
CEA?
And then we close the meeting after that.
All right. All right, super, thank you. Next up, then we have ad hoc housing task force. David, you continue.
Yep, met on Tuesday, virtually on Tuesday, January 10th. Got together, approved the minutes from the April 6th, 2022 meeting. And then we talked about the draft that Aaron has so graciously and tirelessly put together. It's, I believe it's 83 pages. It is it's definitely a thesis level work. And myself and the rest of the housing task force were very thankful for all the work that Aaron has put into this document. The only thing I added was I read it for him. But if you ever want a history level about housing in this country and then in the village, it's pretty solid read. Ultimately, we had some conversations around some of the recommendations. I don't think there was anything material that we really changed in here, but I'm just going to go through some of these recommendations. I'm going to scroll here for a while, but there was one member of the task force kind of asked like what was going to bring the most heartburn if all of these were to come to fruition, and really it was kind of the discussion around multifamily housing units. I think it's very clear in the task force over the course of the work that we did, it's very clear that there needs to be more varied types of housing in the village. I've talked to many residents who would prefer just to have single-family homes. One, you can't do that, and two, it takes a chance for somebody to live here that wants to live here away from them. So that I think we had a kind of a short conversation around that. Just seeing here. We talked a bit about cottage courts and accessory dwelling units was probably the thing that we had the most conversation about. For those that don't know, accessory dwelling units are sometimes referred to as grandparent apartments or mother-in-law suites. Today, those are not allowed by ordinance, and it was a strong consideration by the task force to recommend that we revisit that and possibly change the ordinance. I think for me personally, probably the biggest one was reducing the minimum street widths. I think JJ and Brian would appreciate that. And some of the history there too is kind of wild in my mind. The other thing too, I think the thing that we wrapped up with was really talking about multifamily residential districts. So adding more options from a zoning perspective to create larger multifamily housing units. It's not to say that you can't do that today. Clearly, you can add larger multifamily housing units, but there's an extra step or two that you have to go through to do that. So, kind of just making it easier to add more multifamily housing in the village. I think and again, for anybody who's never had a chance to talk to Olivia Perry from the county, she could talk. I mean, between Aaron and her, it's an abundance of information you would ever want to know, nor did you ever think you'd need to know. But again, Aaron, really appreciate the hard work here. This is in my entire time on the village board, almost 2 years now, we've been working on this, and really want to applaud you and thank you for the really hard work. And it's so with that, we did ultimately approve the housing task force did approve the draft, and that's, I believe, did we put something in the agenda for tonight? No, we did not.
Not for tonight,
Not for
because
tonight.
we're going to add the.
That's right, we have a few more things to
implementation
add.
dates and deadlines and bring that in first meeting in February.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing I would add to it, and Aaron, you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, the one thing that we do need to add, that one member recommended was to basically create like a punch list or a task list for us so that we can, because right now it's a list of recommendations, or consider this or consider that. It was the recommendation to add in kind of an appendix item to say, okay, here's action item, who should be responsible for it, and kind of I mean, I don't want to call it a deadline because that's not really fair, but there's one thing that kind of came out of this task force was that I had the assumption that we would come out with a clear list of things to do. We do have somewhat of a clear list of things to do, but it's a lot more than I thought, and it's just going to spur more and more work. So there's a lot of work to do here, and so I think the biggest concern from the task force was losing momentum. So I think that's, at least for me, kind of moving into this year, we want to keep the momentum going and keep the conversation going. So. Aaron, did I miss anything?
Nope. We'll get a chance to read it next time.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess I'll hold, I think that report is excellent, and I read it, and I look forward to having it come before us.
All right. Thanks, David. And all. And next up, then, we have the Ad Hoc Architectural Committee. Met on January 11th, walked through proposed site plan for One Community Bank located on Landmark Drive. Walked through in detail as that committee does. It was approved with staff conditions, good discussion, and a really nice project in addition to the village, which then bled right into the pipeline. That was the first item. And with that, do we have anybody from you, Jeff and Steve? Yeah. I know we're going to have Brian too, or is it going to be or are you just going to?
We have two chairs, so the two of us, and then I'll switch out.
Okay, all right, please. So we're in action items to discuss and consider. The first one up for a couple of them for One Community Bank. So
Hello everyone, I'm Steve Piotr, I'm President and Chief Executive Officer of One Community Bank. Nice to be back with all of you. I'll turn it over to my colleague Chuck Christmas and Ryan Frank from OPM to talk about the project and answer any questions that you might have. But I thought I would just share a little feedback that I thought that really board might be interested in hearing. So first, just want to give. Sorry, one second.
You want me to start over, Matt? Or? Matt's like, no. That's okay, Steve. You're very kind. Right when I was going to say compliments to village staff, Matt's like, I should let myself. So, but in all seriousness, the journey that we've had since we've been last together, we've worked very closely with village staff, and JJ and Aaron and Matt have been just a pleasure to work with. We get an opportunity to interact with lots of communities and municipal governments, and the process has gone very, very well. We've appreciated the support and the feedback that we've received. And I would even go so far as to include the village attorney in those positive words. So it's been great. And the other part I'll share with you that I thought you might all find of interest is that, it's been a bit of a quiet journey up till now. We know these meetings are public, but until we have an approved project and a plan to go forward with, we haven't yet celebrated the story of us coming to Cottage Grove. But there's a lot of people that keep an eye on what's going on inside the village. So I would tell you that the community has been already very welcoming to us, encouraging us and excited that we're coming to Cottage Grove. Also, we've had some people find us to invite us to support their community organization. I would like to think of ourselves as very generous people, so we've had a lot of opportunity to get those conversations started. And we're also very excited to meet other community residents and business owners that have told us, hey, we're excited you're coming to Cottage Grove. Would like to find a way to work with you guys. So our feedback so far has been incredibly positive, and we're hoping that continues at tonight's meeting. So, and with that, unless you have any questions for me, I'm going to get out of this chair. I'm going to give it to Ryan and Jeff to take it forward from here. But thanks again for hosting us the opportunity to say a few words. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So I don't have much to say other than thanks again for the opportunity to be here. I enjoyed my time here last week and in the Architectural Review Committee, which was just a Zoom meeting. But as some of you, saw and heard last Wednesday at the Planning Commission, Ryan walked us through a really nice presentation. We're proud of the building that we're designing. We're very excited about the new bank that we're looking to have in Cottage Grove. Particularly excited about some of those community components that Steve just spoke about. It's not just about building a bank for us, it's about being a part of this community. So we're very excited and just happy to be here and happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Yeah, with that, we did go through the Plan Commission and Architectural Review, so I know many of you have seen the project, but we thought for those that haven't seen it and for the community or anybody that's on the meeting on the Zoom tonight, they could see a glimpse of the project that is forthcoming. So one community bank will be at Landmark Drive, right off of Highway N, coming in from the interstate. So it's right adjacent to the Jimmy John that's out there in the new development, kind of retail development to the south. The site plan then is oriented in a way that the entry is directly off of Landmark Drive to the east. So there's a long procession up to the building. That kind of is centered directly on the corner of the building, facing the main entry, which faces north, and the parking lot, with drive-up lanes and remote ITM lanes to the south and east. We're really trying to highlight the building, orient it on a site so that's got prime visibility from Highway N, so people coming and going from the village get good access and views to the building and see the features of the building itself. It'll have a lot of nice, warm, natural materials and transparency into the building. Really trying to be welcoming, having native plantings that are respectful of the site and complement the building. We'll kind of have a heavily landscaped entry from the parking lot, so as people come to the building entry along the north, they're kind of going through that landscaped area. We're also trying to landscape the drive from Landmark as well, just so that there's kind of a nice procession into the site, as there is kind of that approach to get to the building. In general, the floor plan is centered around a common lobby. That lobby is meant to be the kind of core function of the space, that really lively, active space. And it's all surrounded by service. It's surrounded by offices and conferencing around the perimeter. So as you come in, you're really kind of greeted by all of the people that work there, and you know that you'll be at home and find a friendly face. Ultimately, the building, as we go to the exterior, we're trying to come up with a really simple palette that's timeless and that will last 50, 100 years, the time that one community wants to be a part of the community here. As we look at the elevations, we have a kind of a stone and terracotta panel that is indicated in the buff color. All of the blue-green is glass, and then there's a little bit of a metal panel that forms the lobby pop-up on the building itself. So a really simple palette, highlighting features for signage. As we turn to the south side, you'll notice, especially on the 3D views, that there's an opportunity that we're screening the drive-through lanes. So we're using that first just to help screen some of the teller functions, the utilities coming into the building, but we're also going to integrate that into an opportunity for building signage and to promote kind of the brand of the bank. So this is a bit of your approach from Highway N as you come from the interstate, so heading south. So you can see, you get a glimpse of the overhang at the entry and some windows into the offices, as well as a glimpse into that drive-up lane on the south of the building. At night, there's opportunities that drive lane will have lighting and be well lit so that it's safe and secure. You can see a glimpse of how that signage might be integrated to kind of subtly hint at the OCB brand. This is then your main entry from Landmark Drive. As I mentioned, you kind of come in right on the corner of the building, so you get prime visibility of the building entry, as well as kind of the long building facade that highlights the building signage, as well as the drive-through lane. And then I'll just flip through a couple photos so that you can see kind of the design intent. We're wrapping around the east. This is then kind of the southwest corner of the building from Highway N or from the bike lane. We are connecting the sidewalk on our site to the bike lane, so just to make access really, really nice through the site. Here again, kind of your view from the parking lot into the building. So thanks. As I mentioned, we did this several times, so I just wanted to give a brief view. But we appreciate being here and happy to answer any questions that we can. So, thanks.
And it gets better. Just so
Good.
you know. We do have comments from staff, I'm sure. Again, this is for 2 items on the agenda. It's a conditional use as well as a site plan. So keep that in mind if you have questions as a board. So Aaron, you want to start us, and then Josh, jump in?
Sure, thanks, John. I guess first of all, as a general comment, I appreciate that this isn't their standard design that they just build everywhere they go. This was something where they really started from scratch, looking at this site and learning about the site, learning about the village, and came up with something a little more unique. So we'd recommend approval with a few conditions. The first one being, not sure if Ryan pointed this out or not, but there were 2 teller lanes, one dashed in, because that could be something that's added in the future. So just a reminder that a site plan is good for 2 years, so if that lane is added after that point, they would have to come back for a site plan amendment. Within the Commerce Park covenants, there's a limitation that puts a maximum of 30% glazing on a building typically. Those were written back in the 90s, and I think there was concern about people building these kind of plain glass boxes that don't age well and don't look so good. This isn't that kind of building. A lot of the glazing is screened behind different columns and trellises and things, so the ARC didn't have a concern about waiving that. The covenants also have a requirement for a fire sprinkler system. What we've typically done lately is waive that in instances where it's not already required by state statute. So I think Jimmy John's was like that, maybe a few others. The fourth one, just a reminder that they can't have any unscreened mechanical equipment on the roof. It sounds like that's not what they're intending to do. It's not going to be on the roof at all. And then just a reminder that sign permits are a separate approval process. And then as far as the conditional use permit, that's specifically for the drive-through lanes. And we're just putting a reminder in here that that second future lane would be included in the conditional use permit, so they wouldn't have to come back and get that amended, just the site plan if it's outside that 2-year window. And should I get a few comments as well?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, on the engineering side, we had comments as well. I'd like to applaud the design team for this. They already got, right after they had comments back to us and addressed, so most of everything that I had as conditions or thoughts has already been addressed in a plan set back to us. I haven't fully got back into it and digested it, but it's just some high-level things that we wanted to see as part of the submittal was obviously the truck turning templates that the fire truck turning templates that we ask for each time to make sure they can get into the site and out of the site in a safe manner. There was a water connection that kind of came in and under some landscaped kind of retaining wall there by the transformers that they moved outside of that, so it was easy to get to. Sure, they need to repair it or maintain it over time. There was some connection down at where the driveway comes out. It means Landmark Drive, or where the sanitary lateral comes across, and some storm sewer and a bunch of utilities kind of connect in that area that were just outside of the lot, kind of adjacent to the lot that's still owned by the village there to the north. So they cleaned up that. It was easy enough to do and move some utilities around. They had some storm sewer that needed just some different sizing on site. It looks like they took care of that as part of their submittal. I just wanted to point out all over stormwater management as a whole as part of this site. As you recall, everything in the business park has regional stormwater detention, and it was designed for 85% impervious area as part of any site that developed. Their site is only at the 48% impervious level, so they're well under that threshold. So the detention basin that's provided throughout the site is sufficient. One thing that each site has to typically do on their own is provide infiltration requirements. where they would actually infiltrate some of their groundwater, their runoff water into the ground. In this case, they're within 400 feet of the municipal well, so that will be exempt per state statute. So you will not see an infiltration basin, rain garden, or anything like that out on this site because of that. Other than that, there's just a little bit of lighting levels that had to be taken care of as part of it. Also, just some distribution of lighting throughout the site, and it sounds like that is addressed, and we'll review that again. Otherwise, we would recommend moving forward with this site plan.
All right. Any questions or comments from board members?
For those that weren't at Plan Commission, can you explain what an ITM is?
Yeah, so thanks for the question, David. So ITM is interactive teller machine, and so you notice in our plan, we've got a separate drive path to get to the interactive teller machine, separate from the drive up experience to go to a lane that's attached to the building. For our service model, we have ITMs that it's a video banker experience. So you can use it just as an ATM if you like. If all you need to do is drive up and take money, it'll certainly do that. But if you want to have a banker experience, there's video bankers that are at a different location, not at the Cottage Grove Bank, but at a different location that would take care of those folks. We can dispense coin, take checks in, do anything that really you want to do, like in an in-person teller line. You're just doing it from your car and with the video banker supporting that. And our experience has shown that, when people use the traditional drive-up service, they want to use lane 1. They want to be right next to the building. And if you have the ITM attached to kind of the traditional layout, it doesn't get used as much. So that's why we have kind of the approach that you see.
So I work for Microsoft and I cover exclusively banks. So this is, I'm going to try not to geek out here. I noticed in your packet that your drive-up hours are typically start at 8 a.m. Is the ITM going to have different hours, or is that 8 a.m. as well?
The drive-up is usually, I think it's 7:30 to 6:30, so it is an expanded service window. And supported by people that aren't right on site. So yeah, it is different extended hours.
Okay. No, that makes a lot more sense to me now, because I saw the one drive-up window and I was like, one drive-up window, I've seen that typically at like grocery stores and like usually connected, but with an ITM that makes a lot more sense. And I know that there's other banks in the area are trying those and have found out what you found, or they're finding out the hard way what you've already found out, is that having a separate ITM is better. So, and honestly, the only thing that tipped me off was actually the arrows, and I asked Heidi and she's like, oh, that's why. So that makes a lot of sense. I guess the only other question I have is how much, with the ITM being set aside from the building, is there any concerns about backup along that drive? Or, like during a normal business hour, right? 11 o'clock in the morning, right? Do we know how many cars can back up in the standard drive-through lane versus the ITM lane?
So maybe from a traffic flow standpoint.
Yeah, so typically like some of the largest amounts you would try to accommodate would be like 6 vehicles, and that's a lot of vehicles.
Yeah.
But both lanes, the drive-up lane can support that at the window. The remote ITM is less than 6 before you would start to impede on the kind of directional flow, I guess, between the ITM and the drive-up lane. But you can get 4 cars clearly there between the ITM, with that idea that then with additional use, that future lane would be a possible solution to that as well.
I guess I'm officially old because I still like going into banks and like seeing people face to face, but again, officially old. So
all of that is kind of remote from the general parking, so it is kind of keeping traffic flow open to the parking and people coming and going to the building itself, and keeping that more to the south.
And David, to that point, we love that.
Right.
Our service model, we're a choice-based organization, so we want to take care of our clients and future clients how they want to be taken care of. Some people want to come into the lobby and be surrounded by service. Some people are higher tech, they want the ITM. Some people they've got kids, they are busy, they want to just do the traditional drive-through. So we want to cover all of that.
Yep. Last question, have you employed ITMs in any of your other branches?
Yeah, several. And that is, and we study, the traffic flow, so we're not concerned about, kind of the number of car backup, stuff that Ryan did, but yeah, we've got a lot of experience with them at other locations. Yep.
Cool, thank you.
You bet.
More than likely, if somebody sees 2 or 3 cars, they'll run a different errand and then they'll swoop back through.
For sure.
And then hit whatever lane they need to hit, or go into the building.
I'm just excited we might be that busy right now.
Yeah.
You can go in and get one community.
He's all excited in the corner. He's like,
like,
yeah, let's do this.
I'll make a motion to approve bank for a conditional use permit to allow drive-through lanes at the proposed bank project located on parcel number 0711-041-2210-1 on Landmark Drive in the Commerce Park.
All right, thank you, Brittany. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? You may abstain. Motion carries. All right, then paired up with this is then the site plan.
Make another motion, for community bank for approval of site plan to construct approximate 6,000 square foot bank on parcel number 0711-41-2210-1 on Landmark Drive in the Commerce Park with the staff recommendations.
Second.
All right, thank you, Brittany. Thank you, David. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then? Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so
Look
much.
forward to seeing you all at the groundbreaking and then the ribbon cutting and all that good stuff, so.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, and then next up in plan, we covered a application from Zilber Property Group, and this is continuation of their overall plan. This is their precise implementation portion of that. I'll walk through that. The Plan Commission recommended approval, and with that, we do have someone new.
Yeah, thanks, and I'm glad to be here. My name's Todd Battle. I'm a relatively new member of the Zilber Property Group team, so this is kind of one of the first projects I'm working on with them. I've got a background in economic development, so happy to be with you and join you on this project. I'm just going to queue up just a kind of a short presentation that some of this was shared at the Plan Commission, but maybe again just for everybody's benefit.
Your mic's turned on. Yep, it is.
And just one second. And then do I just have the ability to share a screen? Yes. Is it work? Is it going?
I don't know, we got 2 of them sitting over here, so. It may not be the operator, it might be the system.
So I've got, saying shared screen, and it's showing the presentation on mine. I've got it on a jump drive too, if that's helpful. I know we did have some. If you want to just email me, okay. That's coming your way as a PDF. I did. Does it come through or no?
Oh, there we go.
Little delay, huh?
Yeah.
Did it come through? Okay. Thanks. All right, so I'll just start over and introduce myself again. So my name's Todd Battle. I'm a relatively new member of the Zilber Property Group team, so happy to be with you tonight. Thanks for the time. We've been working on this project for a little while now. I just want to give you a little overview of kind of what we're planning to do. We're in the due diligence phase of acquiring about a 70-acre site just north of the I-94 County Trunk Highway N interchange. With the 70-acre site, we would bring utilities hopefully up County Road N and into the site along Faber Road, which we would extend through the site. If you want to flip to the next, it's kind of a larger conceptual plan shows about 700,000 square feet of light industrial facilities constructed on the site over time. It's a phased development, but this kind of shows you kind of a good overview of what we're planning to do there and how we'll deal with stormwater detention and access to the site and the types of buildings that would go on there. Go to the next one. The first phase of this development would involve building 212,000 square foot facilities. So what we would term facility 1 and 2 would be the first phase of this development. We'd like to build those at the same time. And then the other developments would come at a later date in this phase development. To the next slide. And then we've just got a few renderings of the kind of the type of facilities and what they'd look like and kind of the appearance and a couple of elevations. If you go to the next slide, there's one more there. And then these are generally built to be light industrial, flexible buildings, typically built on speculation. So when we're starting to construct them as a developer, we're not sure who the tenant is. So we try to build some flexibility in. As tenants come along, we've got the ability to accommodate them. And there's just a couple of additional renderings and a couple additional floor plans in there, but generally really built with a lot of flexibility in mind so that we can accommodate various industrial users in the market. And so that's kind of an overview. We would work closely with the village staff and team on all aspects of this development, and we're with the Plan Commission last week and just here to share the concept with you and answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Todd. Aaron, do you want to cover any things from, I know you repeated this, but it's for the full board, obviously.
Thank you. This is the second step of the approval process. We saw the general development plan last time. This is the precise implementation plan, PIP. A lot of the changes that happen in that month are engineering details, so Josh will have a bit more to talk about than I do. A lot of my conditions, the first 7 or 8 are basically repeats of items from the general development plan. A couple of new items that are mentioned. The applicants are showing a bike ped path currently on the north side of Faber Road where it has to cross kind of all the driveways all the way along the site. We'd like them to look at shifting that to the south side so you're not crossing all the different driveways all the way through. One correction with the landscaping plan, they had referenced the zoning ordinances requirements for street frontage. in their landscaping along the extended Faber Road. What we would actually have them look at is in the subdivision ordinance for street trees. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference in terms of what is actually planted, but I think the main thing, we just want to make sure our village forester signs off on species and spacing and things like that. Again, just a standard reminder about sign permits. So not just for the overall site, but for any individual tenants that come in, they would all have to get permits as they go. And then we'll be looking for additional detail on the photometric plan and lighting details. There are a few other conditions in here that are fairly minor, so I'll just turn it over to Josh.
Yeah, so this is a pretty, on the engineering standpoint, a little bit more of an intense site plan than some of these smaller scale sites. Matt has the picture up here now, and it's kind of important to note that as that road connects to County Trunk Highway N, so N is all the way on the right side of that image there. As it connects to there and it kind of loops down and comes in and heads along the south border, that's all going to be a public road. So that's Faber Road today, Township Road. It would remain a public road all the way to the west as it touched that kind of western limit of that site. So as part of this, we reviewed the aspect of the overall site, but also of the road that you eventually are going to take over as public infrastructure. There's going to be sewer and water under that road. I'm going to hit just kind of the high points. We are still working with their team to kind of go through a lot of these high points. But a lot of them are easily solved. It's just a matter of, who's doing what and how it all correlates out. So the first is like sewer and water. They have sewer and water that's shown along that Faber Road extension. But we're still working on sewer and water as far as it indicates is it has to go down County Trunk Highway N to serve them. So it's both sewer and water is running from that access point basically all the way down to that last roundabout by the gas station is where those connections have to happen. There is sewer and water that was proposed on the site south of this, but that isn't coming all the way up to this level. They're both going to connect to the west and then loop back through that western parcel. There's 50 acres left to the west here that has not come forward as part of a plan yet to date. So that's where that connection or that loop will take place all the way throughout. As far as serving this site needs to be served with sewer-wise. It can't be served by gravity. It has to be served by a pump station. So to do that, where it connects down there along Highway N, there'd be a pump station that all of this drains to, and then they pump it back up over the hill. So as you go up over N, you drop down to this axis. They got to pump it back up over the top so it can drain by gravity back down into the village. In doing that and researching this site, there maybe also appears, and we suggested in our thing, that maybe they can connect Amazon up the same way and limit some of the infrastructure that's needed for the Amazon site, and then also help the adjacent western site at the same time, all served by gravity to this regional station that would then pump over the hill. Ultimately, we also want to work with the group that someday we'd like that regional facility to then drain by gravity further to the north if it still continues to develop down by the creek, and that would be an ultimate regional station someday. So there's a little bit of planning and steps that go along with this, and their development team has been working with us along the way to try to figure out how that all plays together. Some of the other comments that we had was grading. Is obviously, as you can see, grading the site to the north, the west, and to the south, even onto the e-commerce site there, they're going to have some grading easements as part of that. There's a power line that runs along the west side of the site. They'll need grading easements from Wisconsin Power and Light to grade that piece of it out. We talked about the road and the sidewalk, multi-use path. There was discussion at Plan Commission, do we want sidewalk, do we want multi-use path? Ultimately, the decision at Plan Commission was to have a multi-use path on one side of the roadway, preferred it to be on the south side. They're proposing right now a retaining wall on the south side because these two sites, as they grade them out, don't quite match up. So let's say you have Amazon to the south, them here, Amazon's just a little bit higher, but if they work together, they could kind of grade it off all in one big coordinated effort. So we're suggesting that they go that route, get rid of that retaining wall, put the multi-use path on the south side of the road, if feasible. There was talk about kind of just roadway widths, speed limits, speed posted limit out there, 25 miles an hour. That's how the roadway will be designed. Driveway widths at their site were discussed about kind of narrowing up some of the vehicular accesses to the parking lots and maybe allowing a little wider access to some of They're truck entries. They're kind of separated on these sites. The trucks enter between the buildings so that they can access either building on either side. So you have the two sets of buildings there, the smaller and the large. The trucks are kind of in the middle. Everybody's parking there on the outside of those facilities. Traffic and, you know, a TIA as part of this site overall. We have to remember that the connection to Highway N is all on the jurisdiction. Once the connection is granted, the village has the right to grant that access. The county then kind of takes over on what is needed. They are producing a TIA for this site. We have not seen it yet, but we've had conversations with their development team and their traffic engineers and the county so that we could discuss, you know, how much traffic this is going to generate and how it should be treated. And that will be ongoing. You know, there's potentially going to be a right turn bay, a left turn bay out at this intersection and this connection out on Highway N. So there'll be some Highway N improvements as part of this project also. We're also asked that they look at the site to the west because this does connect into the western site. Even though we don't know what that 50 acres is going to be today, we'd like to project what a potential traffic impact would be so that we don't have to come back to N and change it in the future. It's just kind of ready for the ultimate traffic at that location. Storm sewer, you know, you can see the variety of blue sections up there in storm ponds. There's actually 4 totaled, so the far one over by the access point isn't in their site plans. It isn't actually needed as part of this development. We proposed that as part of this, they kind of had an easement running through the middle of their site down to those the northern ponds, almost in a sense that the village was going to take kind of ownership of some of that and maintain it. We kind of proposed back that most of that is development site water. They can maintain the ponds, get a maintenance agreement as part of that. And really, the village probably would only want to take ownership or an outlot of the one that's closer to the road and off to the right side there. The road mainly drains to that one for the most part, so that would be a good kind of trade-off. There's a couple more comments I think I had. Lighting. Like JJ said, we commented as there's no real lighting of this, of the street, of the public street, and, you know, the developer and the village and Alliant Energy are gonna have to kind of work together on how Alliant's gonna come in and light this as they construct this. So when it's open to traffic, we have some street lighting to boot out there as part of it. We reviewed then their overall internal site, you know, the same sort of comments, fire truck comments, and making sure that they have access throughout the site. You know, fire protection, there will be hydrants in Maine that loop all the way around this, and spacing of hydrants, because these are going to be rather large buildings, so just a little bit more information on that will be needed as they move forward. And then overall site lighting, you know, at the end of this, just to understand what the site lighting is going to be, and the dark sky to promote kind of the site lighting at the site and not overlight it. Then also you can kind of see this green kind of outlined area in your upper right-hand corner. It's proposed like berm and landscaped area to help with just the visual to that adjacent residence, and that will also help with some of the lighting and whatnot as part of the development. That's a pretty quick summary of a lot of things, so if you have questions, let me know.
All right, any questions from board members?
I had a question about, just to come back to, we had some neighbors that came to Plan Commission to the public hearing, and it was mostly just the one in the farmer on the other side of Faber Road, and we addressed everything that they were concerned about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was concerned about stormwater, and when he left the public hearing, he was satisfied with how Adam, the team's engineers, had explained everything. And then he just wanted to make sure he could still have, because he currently uses Faber Road to access his land with his tractors. He wants to be able to still do that, so he's looking for a curb cut somewhere on the north side, and they're more than happy to work with him on that.
Great, thanks. I guess the other feedback that I had was, I appreciate all the landscaping and including landscaping and the parking, the island kind of things to reduce the urban heat island effect, and I think that's important for visuals too, and we have the county park and kind of being on the fringe close to environmentally sensitive areas, on the outside of the community. So I appreciate the native landscaping that you're incorporating as well, and so I'm excited about the project and the bike path to get people out there in alternative transportation too. Thank you.
Aaron, I'm looking at the survey map and that first page, that CSM sheet 6 in the packet. Can you help make sense of that on that first page? Because it's cut up the site into town and village, and
Can you pull that up? Can you pull that one up?
Yeah, let me
real quick.
share my screen. Didn't think I could even do that.
Basically, what they're doing is, I think, 3 or 4 parcels now. They're combining most of it that they're going to keep into one parcel. And the current landowners want to keep their house and continue to live there. They've been on the land for hundreds of years, their family.
Zoom in here. Hold on.
I think all that is showing, it's probably, go to the next page, it's probably showing that area.
Yeah, so that first one's
It's
more
like a
of-
key map.
That's a key map, and it shows kind of the section, that everything's laid out in sections and towns and range, so it's showing that as part of a couple sections there. And then the hatched area is that piece that I think the next one shows it how all that's laid out on.
Scroll down.
And it's 2 pieces, so now they spun it, right? So this is down on the bottom of that sheet is N. Oops.
Sorry.
Spin it again.
There we go.
Yep, there you go. So yep, N is over on the right-hand side. Lot 2 is the lot that Aaron talked about, that they're gonna split off for the residential property to stay. And then the other Lot 1 is all of their development.
Okay.
They will further split that as the public road comes through and whatnot.
I guess, so this map made sense to me, but it was this one that still, I guess I'm not totally clear
So
on. It's this piece, this piece here that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Because and Josh, you kind of alluded to, some of the stormwater ponds will be in the village and some will be in the town?
No. So all that hatched area,
I get
is
this
next to
part.
pages.
This totally makes sense to
Yeah.
me. It's
So
this right here.
that hatched area is, there's 2 different townships there, right? I'm sorry, that's the village boundary and the town boundary, so they're just dedicating the boundaries of.
The neighbor property though.
That is, yes. That's
okay.
that's the neighbor 50 acres.
There we go, okay.
Yep.
That's the part I was missing.
Yeah.
The line with the X's is a drainage way. I think they included the extra land to show
Okay.
where that drainage way comes around the
Okay.
property.
Sure.
Thank you.
I thought of one other question, sorry. The lot that's splitting off, they wanted to stay on their septic. Did we ask if they wanted a lateral put to their house, or is that something we can check on? I don't know how long it's been there, if it's coming to the end of its life. But
I guess, I don't know if we've
Okay.
addressed that. We typically don't connect property owners outside of the village.
Oh, they're staying in the town. Their
The-
property will be in the township.
The residents, yes, that's still going to be in the town.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
No, it's in the village now.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the village? Okay. So we could connect them to utilities then, if they wanted to.
Okay, yeah, I would just, if they're looking at that their septic's at the end of that it'll be expensive, and maybe, I know that they would pay all sorts of fees to have that happen, but if they want to do that. Thanks.
Well, depending on the septic life, it could be paying a lot for the replacing the septic too, so. The drain field. Yeah, exactly.
I believe actually we require that they connect once their septic fails.
Okay.
Since they are in the village, so that's generally how it's handled, permission level.
Thanks, Matt. Any other questions or comments from board members?
I'll make a motion to approve the application for Silver Property Group for approval of a certified survey map on consolidated parcels number 0811-332-8501. I'm not gonna read all those. County highway into 2 parcels.
All right, is there a second?
Oh, wait, oh, man, sorry.
You-
Let me read the first one, sorry.
That's fine. I thought you wanted to get the map
I'm
done.
jumping,
so we're
I'm
focusing
jumping
on
here.
it. That's fine.
So-
All right, go ahead.
Let me read the first one, sorry. Discuss and consider an application, okay. I move to approve the application for Zilber Property Group for approval of the precise implementation plan for an approximately 70-acre light industrial development on parcels, and Lisa, you can copy and paste those.
All right, thank you, David. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries.
I'll make a second motion to approve the application of Zilber Property Group for approval of a certified survey map to consolidate parcels, and Lisa will copy and paste into 2 parcels.
All right. Is there a second? Thank you, David.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further discussion on the certified survey map?
Please include that in my motion to, with staff recommendations.
Board members good with that, with the first one? Okay. We'll be light on Roberts today. Now, rule schmools. All right. There's a second then. Any further discussion on the certified map? Having heard none, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Other than that, and Plan Commission, oh, yeah. That was it for Plan Commission. Next, then, we have Library Board Finance and Budget Subcommittee. David, are you on this or not?
I am not a formal member, but I was at the meeting.
Okay.
JJ, you can correct me if I miss anything here. The Library Board's Finance and Budget Subcommittee met on Thursday, January 12th at 8:30. It was a late night. Really only had one agenda item, was to discuss and consider the recommendation to the Library Board on programming costs and planning. So Tracy has put together some preliminary programming costs and planning around the budget. So we did approve those, and we'll bring those back to the larger Library Board at our next meeting on January 25th. That was it. JJ, miss anything?
All right, then we'll move right to reports from village officers. Rick, anything?
Nothing to report.
No accolades this week or anything like that for you? Partners? Or?
He bought the firm.
Yeah. All right. Next, then, we move to communication and miscellaneous business. First up is to consider approval of vouchers. Do we want to, speaking of rules question, we had them in 2 different files. Do we need to break them out? One for all the tax pieces and then one for the general one? Or we could just bundle, if there's no concern.
Yeah, I think you could bundle them if you wanted just to consolidate them.
Okay. Any questions, comments on the vouchers as presented?
I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers as presented. That includes the tax overpayment bills list also.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Is there a
Second.
Thank you, Heidi. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Correspondence? Anybody have anything to highlight? All right, then we'll move right to upcoming community events. I know that the Lions are having, okay, guys, mentioned that last time, on the 28th, I think it's 8 to 11, if I remember, at Flynn Hall. Yes, thank you.
A week from tomorrow, January 25th, in this room from 4 to 6 to outline the scopes of the various facility studies that the board has commissioned with FGM Architects. And that's the first one. It'll be just introducing the scopes, and then there will be likely public involvement meeting. You'll be hearing that maybe a lot this year. We're called PIMS, so there'll be likely a few other PIMS after that, one each for the various studies. Once the findings from the studies are done, we'll hold individual make sure they're highlighted and it's more of an open process for the public to provide feedback rather than an individual item on the board agenda. So, and also have additional discussions at board level, of course, but this is just a different way to hold the process to get better public feedback.
Thanks, Matt. Any other events you want to highlight? All right, then, future agenda items.
Rick Love report about the Department of Administration's firefighter award program, and not necessarily an item on the next agenda, but something to make you guys aware of. We're coordinating a training that we'll make available to board members to test out a new microphone AV system. So we'll schedule a time to kind of just do a fake village board meeting and see if you guys like it before we purchase it. It's coming in under budget, but it's a nice system. So.
All right. Thanks, Matt. If there isn't anything else, then we'll move right to, I'll make a motion to go in closed session. This is first of two. Motion will be to go in closed session regarding TID number 10, development incentives, negotiation of the Village Cottage Grove. Will enter the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or the conducting of other specified public business wherever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Do you want me to hold off on the roll call, or do you want to do it individually?
Roll call.
All right.
Ballwig. Murphy. Peterson. Stoa. Valencia. Williams.
Aye.
Whittick.
Aye.
All right, then, before we jump into that closed session, I'd also like to make a motion to go in another closed session. This one is a closed session regarding employee performance matter. The Village of Cottage Grove Village Board will enter a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, parentheses 1, parentheses C, considering the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Is there a second? I'm going to get that one to Brittany, I think.
Whittick.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Valencia. Stoa. Peterson. Murphy. Ballwig.
All right, we're in closed session.